Alright, so this is a quick look at how to get your data for the ENSO chart. So what you're looking at here is the tau buoy array. And what I didn't do a good job of explaining the first time is over here is Australia and over here is Peru. So what we're looking at is this section right here. So right along the equator is where we're looking. Now this is a normal year where the trade winds are strong and they are pushing warm water away from Peru towards Australia, and it gives it a small little cool patch. Now what you're looking for right at the equator is a patch of about 24 degrees Celsius water. In a non-El Nino year, what you'll have here is the weak trade winds, and what will happen is warm water will pile up over here near the equator. So if I'm looking back at my chart, I'm going to go ahead and go lat long. Again, we're looking right at this black line, right at the equator, because this is what we're going for. Make sure you go with the high-res image. This is the one I need you to copy and paste over, but go on the high-res one. So over here on the high resolution, what you're looking at is, again, Peru over here and Australia over here. Now what I need to do is I need to see whether or not we have 24 degrees Celsius water. Now on this one it's pretty easy to tell because there's a 21 right here. 24 is way over here. But the coldest water off the equator here, let's see, it gets a little muddled in here. So I would say it's probably this line that curves closest to the equator. So I'm looking at this one right here. So let's find out what that is. So that's 24, 23.5, 23, 22.5, 22, 21, and it's curving up here. I would say that's, I'm sorry, 21.5. I would say that's 21.5. Again, you don't want this one because it's not right on the black line. But again, 21.5 is a good number. So that would be the coldest water off the coast of Peru. Now let's go and let's take a look at the depth chart. Now for the depth chart, now when you're looking at the sea surface temperature, you're looking at the temperature of the water up here. Again, Peru and Ecuador is right over here, and Australia is over here. Now if the trade winds are moving normally away from South America, pushing towards Australia, it will cause water below the ocean to curve upwards. Again, we call this upwelling. Again, not only is it pushing warm water this way, but it's also pulling cold water up the side of the continent. In an El Nino year, this line drops because warm water is getting pushed towards South America. Cold water is pushed down into the ocean. So we're trying to see whether that 14-degree water is curving up high enough for it to be considered upwelling. So coming back over here, make sure you're on your depth selection. I'm going to go ahead and stay in September, or I'm sorry, in 1999 for December. I'm going to go ahead and hit display. This one takes a little longer to create. You're going to want to go to the high-res image. And let's take a look at that 14-degree line. So what you're trying to see is, did it get all the way over past 200? Ignore this part right here. You have to look at these little tick marks at the side. They're the same as this. So these go by 25. So 0, 25, 50, 75, 100. So let's follow this 14-degree line. And it goes right here. So that's 0, 25. So it's just below the 50 and above 75. So you could call that 60. So long as you're falling in between these numbers, you're okay. Again, over here is the coast of Peru. Over here is Australia. So I'm going to say that that water, 14 degree, is rising up to, let's say, 60 degrees, or I'm sorry, 60 meters. So upwelling is occurring. So in 2000, because it's December 1999, in 2000, it's not going to be an El Nino year. There's 24-degree water off the coast, and upwelling is occurring. And going back to this part, the depth chart, what you're looking in the depth chart is the surface down to 500 meters. That's what you're looking at when you're looking at this depth chart. You're basically looking at the continent being here and here, so here and here, and then going from 0 to 500. So we're going to look at 1997. Let's take a look at an El Nino year in 1998 based off of December 1997. So again, Peru's over here, Australia's over here on this side, and I'm looking right here at the equator. So this black line right here, 28 kind of curves right into the equator. So I would say right at the equator we got 28-degree water. Definitely higher than 24. So based off of this, looks like it's going to be an El Nino year. So now we're going to go to the depth chart. So now looking at my depth chart for December 1999, again, we're kind of looking at a side view of the ocean here. Let's see how deep 14 degrees goes. So I'm looking here, following that 14-degree line. It ends right about here, so that's 100, that's 200, 225, that's 250. So I would call that 250 meters. So no, it's not above 200 meters. So this is definitely, like 1998 would definitely be an El Nino year. The water off the coast of Peru is higher than 24 degrees, and the 14-degree water did not reach up to 199 or higher. So what's happening, if I go back to one of my earlier ones, is the trade winds moving towards Peru are causing upwelling not to happen. So it's pushing water down. That's why that 14-degree is flatter than it normally is. What happens if you end up with a condition like this, which is going to happen for some of you? It means that for whatever reason, the buoy was not recording data in the month of December here. So this you cannot, I mean, you can guess where it's going to end up, but you could just put NA because you actually don't have data over here. There's nothing to tell you where that 14-degree ended up. What you can do for December of 2012 is you can look at the sea surface temperature though. With this one, again, I'm taking a look right here at the equator, right here in the middle, and here's 24 degrees. Looks like this line right here is kind of curving into the equator. So 24, 23.5, 23. I would say the coldest water is 23 degrees. So just when you say, will an El Nino year happen, you say, well, based off the sea surface temperature, 2013 will not be an El Nino year because there is water that is colder than 24 degrees Celsius off the coast of Peru.